It was the big story on Friday. The president using his executive powers to basically stop deportation proceedings against around 800,000 young immigrants who were brought to this country before they turned 16 and have lived here for at least 5 years. There are other conditions as well. Congressman Luis Gutierrez, chairman of the Hispanic Caucus's Immigration Task Force, today said the next step is to get all these eligible applicants ready for the process.
I'm going to work really hard to prepare everything during the next 2 months to make sure that the process is simple, that the application is a simple application, and to prepare ourselves early on to be able to fill it out and to assist the students in the process.
Congressman Gutierrez agreed to come on Politics Tonight. Congressman, you certainly would say it's about time.
Yes, it is about time. I was very happy and delighted with the decision. Look, back in December of 2010, after the lame duck session, Democrats lost a majority in the House of Representatives, and we went down to 51-52 in the Senate. I met with the president back then, just before Christmas. And our discussion was about what are our next steps. Clearly not having the majority anymore. It was about the president using his executive authority to protect the immigrant community until the Congress of the United States got around to taking action.
Was he amenable to that even then? Was he giving you indications that he might actually do that?
When we when we left for Christmas in 2010, we said we're going to put our thinking caps on and we'd come back. And indeed,
is that how you put it?
Later,
Did you put it just that way?
Exactly. It's exactly that way. Let's put our thinking caps on. He was going off to Hawaii the very next morning to be with his wife and children, and I was going to be off to Puerto Rico to be with my wife and children. And we said, when we get back, let's have our thinking caps on. Let's come back. And in June of last year, indeed, there was a memorandum of prosecutorial discretion, and it said if you're caught by the immigration system, but you don't present a threat to the United States, you've been here a while, you have American children, maybe one of your children in the armed forces, or you came here real young, like one of the Dreamers, or you're real old, but you have no criminal background whatsoever, but you've established roots, we'll just defer that. We're going to go after drug dealers and gang members and rapists and murderers and people who are immigrants, but not in our classical sense, that come here to work hard, sweat and toil and make a better future, but foreigners. But you know what? That should have been the focus. And so we said, Mr. President, but we need to be specific. We can't be waiting around for the government to pick someone up and then say, hey, halt it, let them go. Why don't we have an affirmative process? So last Friday, the president expanded on his use of his executive authority and prosecutorial discretion.
Did you know it was coming? You've been talking to him.
We've been talking to him, we've been pushing, we've been advocating. I knew the night before about the announcement. And so last Friday I was in Miami doing the national network shows as the announcement was being made. But look, what's important now is that there are about 800,000 young people in this country who can apply to not be deported. I mean, look, the president was clear, this is not amnesty. This is not citizenship. You don't get a green card. You get a 2-year work permit. It's renewable, but you get to stay. Look, the first thing for those of us who care about a decent immigration policy and understand there are 5 million American citizen children, 5 million, whose parents are undocumented. There are millions that have been here 15, 20 years raising families. There are many young people. The system is broken, has been broken for 2 decades. Let's fix it, but let's allow those who don't present a threat to us, who have established strong roots in our country, to stay here.
You can't deny, though,
we fix the system.
The Republicans are jumping all over there. They are seething. And were you a little surprised when Senator Rubio was kind of kicking some dirt on this last week? Doesn't that? Consider his parents came to this country as immigrants.
Well, you know what? All the president is doing is using the same kind of authority when Cuban nationals arrived here. After the establishment of the government of Fidel Castro, they began to arrive here. We had what was called parole in place. That is, when a Cuban refugee arrived at the shores of the United States, he was paroled in place. That's one thing. The president didn't use that for the Dreamer. That's a much even more generous stance that we can take to someone arriving here. But you know, that was before the Cuban Adjustment Act, and they arrive here 1 year later. So it does surprise me, but especially because Senator Rubio, when he ran on the Tea Party ticket, and he said he didn't believe in amnesty. He believed they should all self-deport, and he said he was against the DREAM Act. Once he got elected to the Senate, he had a change of mind. and started preparing to introduce legislation to help the DREAM students. But you know what? The president has done exactly what his legislation does, except his codifies it and makes it permanent. The president has taken a temporary measure to do exactly what he wishes to do.
A lot of people forget that even Ronald Reagan, I mean, he was for amnesty in the mid-1980s, quite outspoken for it.
You know, I'm so happy you brought it up. Here's the irony of this all, in terms of the Republican Party. In 1984, the debate between the Democratic nominee Mondale and the Republican nominee for re-election, Reagan was the pro-immigrant president.
Wasn't that funny?
He said they're working hard. They're working in our vineyards. They're picking our apples.
They're valuable.
They're
we need them. Let me take catch up. We have a caller here who wants to make a comment. This is Howard on the line now. Hello, Howard. You're on Politics Tonight.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious. I was watching this and I saw a sign where somebody put up that the illegal immigrants paid 11-point-something billion in taxes. Well, how is that possible, considering an illegal immigrant cannot obtain a Social Security card? So are they paying taxes based on sales tax and stuff like that? So where's this 11.8 billion coming from?
They're paying taxes. Congressman, explain that in a nutshell real quick.
Sure. Because they're working and they're using Social Security cards that are not their own. And they're using Social Security part of people that have passed away. They are on the payroll paying Social Security. They get deducted. But the gentleman is also right. Look, when you go fill up your gas, you all know, if you're from Chicago, you know there's about a 40-cent difference between Chicago and living in Southern Illinois. And those are all county taxes, municipal taxes, and state taxes that you pay. You pay property taxes. You do pay income tax. You do pay FICA tax. You do pay Medicaid. I mean, you pay taxes when you work. Let's remember that the undocumented are here for the most part working in the United States. Yes, but one thing they can't do, they can't access government programs because they are denied that access to them.
Got to say thank you very much and congratulations.